Hi everyone, it's Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat and Christmas in July video. The theme for today was sparkling lights, and I'd got this die set from Pretty Pink Posh a while ago, and this is my first use of it. And I wanted the idea of a few strands of the fairy lights, Christmas tree lights, going across the panel and have some pretty sparkly, glittery light bulbs in sort of like pastels, but kind of, this is going to sound like contradictory, bright pastels, but you'll see what I mean. They are pastels. I suppose the pink is the bit that's not so pastel-y. So this required lots of die cutting, lots of fiddling, and I had kind of gone back and looked at the comments that people had left on my Let's Talk About Christmas in July, and people gave me suggestions. A lot of people were after things that you can replicate time and time again. This is not one of those cards, I don't think. Well, you could, but it just requires you to enjoy fiddly putting together of die cuts. And this isn't fiddly, really. I mean, I know there's some fiddly die cutting things out there, but you know, this requires lots of bits and pieces, and it's fine. It's quite relaxing. I say it's quite relaxing, but I didn't find this a particularly relaxing card to make because I got interrupted so many times whilst I was making it, more than anything else. So I think I did it over the course of 3 or 4 different sessions, all on the same day and everything. But it became a bit of a, oh, can't I just get on with this card and finish it? The other thing that's sort of a bit fiddly is adding glitter glue. So if you'd have used a glittery paper to die cut from, or cardstock to die cut from, that would cut down some of the glitter issue. So I must admit, at the end it was quite fiddly because I was, I was fiddling around with glitter glue and trying to do it whilst it was still wet, and therefore you really should leave it to dry, etc, etc. I'll talk through that in a minute. So I've die cut 3 of the wavy strands. I've cut down a panel that I will use as my background panel that I keep sort of testing it against to see have I got it all on, because it's a great set for going horizontal, so to have a landscape style card, but I actually wanted it going down the portrait style card. So I kept testing it out, and then there's a lot of gluing of the little fiddly pieces, and then being mindful of the fact that you don't move it. I do end up with one of them goes a bit wonky even on the final card. I'd just not noticed it had gone wonky whilst it was drying. So yeah, it's a little bit fiddly. It's not fiddly as in you can't get it very wrong. It's dead easy. It's just those little pieces and those bits of glue, etc. So you can see here I've sort of got one going across almost horizontal, another one coming down at a sort of diagonal, and then this other one will go in a different direction again. So I'll stick this into fast forward for this last bit, like super fast forward. So I've got all of the little light bulbs glued down, and I've trimmed off the edges pretty much where I want them to be. I do have to do a bit of trimming very end, and now I decide I want glitter glue. And you can see, got interrupted again. So came back, and I'm using the clear glitter glue. This is Kingston's Crafts glitter glue. And really what should happen is once you've done all of the light bulbs and the glitter glue, you should really go and just leave it. Put it to one side and let it dry. It won't take forever, but maybe an hour or so. I'm determined I'm going to crack on with this card, so I don't do that. I leave them on the desk, and I then craft around them with the other bits and just do my best, really. So I decide I want to mount this particular panel with one of the colours of the light bulbs, so I'll go with the blue. I am working from scraps, to be fair, for most of this card has been taken from the scraps box. I think it's only when I get to making the card blank, which I take a full sheet of A4 white cardstock. Now I'm deciding on my sentiment, and so I'll probably do disappear off camera for a while whilst I decide on a sentiment, and I decided on this Pretty Pink Posh again, so for once I'm going with the same company. It's not normal that I do that. I love this stamp set. I love the font that's been used. It's quite modern and cute looking. And I wasn't sure which sentiment to use, so I stamped two and used embossing buddy first. Then I used white embossing powder for the finish, and then I'll die cut them, and then I'll work out that actually I didn't put my die in the right place for one of them. Yeah, you know, how many times? But yeah, I didn't quite get the line up quite right on the Merry and Bright, so I end up with the 'Tis the Season being my sentiment. So I've done this on the pink, so it coordinates with, again, the card stock that I've used on those light bulbs. And so it's it is a quite cutesy kind of look by the end of it, but very modern and fresh. Now, we all know I like to stack my die cuts, especially for my sentiments, turn them into like little chunky embellishments. This one I went a little bit OTT and went with 4 layers, but it was just because I'd only got a little bit of that pink cardstock left and I didn't want to have to put it back in the scraps box, so I thought, nah, I'd just use it. So I have started to glue those together and stack them up, and then I will leave that to dry a little bit. And then I decide I want to do something with that white panel. Now, I did and about doing some ink blending behind, but I decided I just wanted it to look clean. My original idea with the ink blending was maybe if I could do like a pale pink coming out from where the pink blobs are and the blue from the blue, etc. But I figured it was going to be difficult, but I also really like the clean look and I didn't want to make a mess of it. So I decided instead to go and use an embossing folder. This is an old embossing folder. It's just a normal 2D one. And it just has the word Merry Christmas in lots of different fonts going across it. So this is the point where a sensible person would wait until the glitter glue has dried before they start gluing things down. But I'm not sensible. And to be honest, I managed to do it without any mess. But it did require a little bit of fiddling on this first one because I'd not quite put enough glue on. For it to adhere to the bottom with all the texture and stuff. So there was a bit of fiddling with that. The second one, I went a little bit heavier with the glue blobs underneath, so it stuck down quite quickly and it was quite nice. And then this one, because I put that one at more of an angle than I'd originally planned, I did it as an overlap. But I really like that, although it did shift a little bit, so there was a bit of messy glue around the edges on that one. Then I decided, right, okay, let's think about how we're going to do this. Are we going to stick the sentiment straight down? And I decided no, I wanted something a little bit textural within there. So I had a little fiddle round. Apologies, sorry. First of all, I did my mat. Again, sensible people would wait until the glitter glue's dried. Not me. I progressed regardless. So yeah, I contemplated putting some die cuts underneath it, some like little leaves, but I just didn't want to add another specific shape, if that makes sense. So I decided to use this wax twine that came from the Hey Little Magpie embellishment kit from June. It's a lovely soft blue and it worked well with the colour of the blue that I'd chosen for both the mat and those little light bulbs. And then I created my little nest, put some sticky on the back of my sentiment to stick it to, and that allowed me to sort of like just gather in all of those little bits of thread. Another piece of sticky to just sort of encapsulate them, to sort of like put them between. And then I added glue because I knew it was going onto this textured background. And again, carefully trying to avoid sticking my finger in the wet glitter glue, added that on. And that's pretty much it. I have to create my card blank and add it to the card blank. So I did that. And because of the fact that I'm not waiting for the glitter glue to come to dry, I am doing the adhesive in reverse. So I'm adding it to the bottom layer and then I'll add my panel on top. So it's a little bit more fiddly. And also you have to make sure that you know where your barrier is, where your boundary is. So you don't have the glitter, the glue or the adhesive coming out the sides. A little bit of trimming to just take off those edges and done. So super pretty card. I love the card, but yeah, it's not a replicatable one. Easy, I don't think. Well, it's easy to replicate. It's just going to be fiddly and it will take time. Probably took me about 45 minutes to make the one card. So yeah, and I don't think you would be able to speed it up. I hope you enjoyed. Please do like and subscribe. Until next time, bye bye.